We're live, folks. With our little Christmas tree.
Oh, it's not a cat.
Oh, Shadow Man.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach Drew Coach is a group we have.
We're probably gonna have to talk a little loud.
Yeah, that's what
Should I turn off that fan over there?
No, they're good.
That would
So,
might
like,
also
I was
know,
thinking,
that'll
you know,
know for sure.
It might mess with the sound.
You're saying?
Coach is a group we've been doing this whole year where we just get together and we ask each other questions about life. Like we ask each other questions like, you know, what's the biggest challenge you face in life, you know, or you know, what's something you were working on and trying to achieve and what are the steps you're taking, or you know, what's something joyful that you felt in your past, you know, all things like that.
Cool.
Just go around and discussing, you know.
I like it, I like it.
Like, what's one of your proudest moments?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing lots of different questions.
That's interesting.
We'll typically have one question that revolves through the night. Like everybody's
like
takes
an overarching theme of, okay.
But sometimes we already covered it, and so like we get on to another topic or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes we get carried away.
And you're saying most of the time you guys have other people in the group that usually
Yeah.
show up and stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but they don't know us anymore.
Who are some of your other like guys' friends
Just
that
kidding.
usually call through?
Yeah, it's really nice. Steve, Twink, Callie, they're really cool.
We got as many as like 17 people come for a Coach night.
Okay, so if you're in a zombie apocalypse, what would
Well, I want to know where you were going with that.
I literally wasn't. It was just
Okay.
a good story.
Ashley, you already look up any questions today?
Yeah,
or-
I'm normally on my phone.
You
I'm
know.
on my phone right now.
Well, I had looked up, and I didn't look right before in here, but I had looked up a new batch of questions. Did you look at those? The ones that we asked? I don't have them right here. I don't have access to that. Well, I can run it over. Okay,
Or we can just come up with where everyone feels.
Let's just go up.
What's your guys' favorite planet in the solar system?
Okay, fuck, marry, kill. Hillary Clinton, Skylar White, and Kathy Bates.
Wait, I know. Wait,
Who's Hillary
you
Clinton?
know Skylar White?
Skylar White from Breaking
Walter
Bad.
White.
Oh, I know. He said he'd marry Skylar White.
Oh no, he didn't say
he
what
said
the answer.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
just
It's
think
a question.
Yeah.
The
Wait,
question
who's
is,
Kathy Bates again?
The bitch from Misery.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, the
I'll
one that
just-
breaks the guy's ankles?
Yeah. She's like a psycho fan who kidnaps her favorite author and cripples him to keep him.
Oh, I've
So
heard
we
that
have to
story.
choose one
It's
of
like
these
a
women to
Stephen
marry?
Hawking.
One marry,
Fuck,
one to
Carol,
fuck, one
I
to kill.
see.
This is not a Coach Night conversation.
I know, I said it like without loads and him, and then he like screamed it. I'm like, well, I didn't think that was for real.
Well, I got thinking, and then I just picked the 3 most miserable women I could think of.
Well, I'd kill Kathy. I'll marry Skylar and fuck Hillary. Little bag. Okay, for real though.
Probably marry Skylar, kill Hillary, and fuck Kathy Bates.
I don't know what Kathy is.
She's probably free.
Okay, but I know this isn't like a like
insane.
philosophical. I don't know. I know it sounds like philosophical, but I'm just curious. It was like the first question that came to my head, like what your favorite planet is. Do you guys have a favorite planet?
The deep blue realness entices me.
Yeah. No, that's nice. It's a pretty blue.
And it's important to say it like that.
You guys haven't thought about that?
Yeah,
I guess
I
not.
don't know that.
No, wait.
One answer.
I know, but yes.
Doesn't Jack Handy have a, like,
And
I
the-
think that Jupiter should be considered an enemy planet?
Who? Jack Handy?
Jack Handy, Deeper Thoughts?
Oh, I don't know that guy.
Saturn-
Wait, why did he say that?
I've heard that the Golden Gate Bridge has this type of thing where if the wind goes through the right way, it sounds like the sun that comes out of Saturn.
That's cool. Wait, but why that guy say Jupiter is an evil
He's a
planet?
comedian.
Oh!
He was a Saturday Night Live guy. He's
Jupiter's
before,
got that storm.
before your time.
Oh, okay.
He was the one
I'd
who
probably
came
go
up with
with
all
some
kinds of
kind
little,
of,
like, little fun things, like, when I die, I wanna die peacefully, like my grandfather did. Not like not like the passengers of his car as they were going off the cliff. Or as the light, as the light faded from a sort of salmon color to a flint gray, I thought back on that fish I caught this morning, and how gray he was, and how I named him Flint. Stupid stuff like that. When somebody asks me to define love, I stop and think about it for a minute, and then I spin them around and pin their arm behind their back. Now who's asking the questions?
I know a lot of old lesson now.
So let's pick a question that would be a perfect question for us. We got 4 of us here. We all know each other to the level we know each other. Let's ask each other. What's a good question?
What are some of the normal questions so we have an idea of like the main?
Any kind of a question where we can practice empowering the rest, and where we're practicing activists. And
You know, questions like, when do you feel the most inspired? What's inspired you the most in life? Or a darker question, like, when did you feel the most alone and how did you get out of that? Or something
you're proud of.
something you're proud of. Or, what's a relationship that's helped you, or maybe
Me and Alex were having a good conversation earlier when we drove to Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you guys talk about like relationship stuff. I guess you can talk about kind of anything. But I was kind of explaining, I don't know what question it would like go with, but I was kind of explaining my thought process behind women and why I haven't had like a girl. I've had one girlfriend since when I was like 16 for like a couple months. It was like really, I've never really been in like a real relationship. But I don't really know where I was going with this, but I don't know. We were just having like a good conversation. He was kind of just listening. I was kind of like explaining like a bunch of stuff, but
About relationship in general, like what was the flavor of your conversation regarding relationship?
a part of it was like also talking about how
Just like the mentality for like not just picking up women, but like the mentality that you go into a relationship with.
we were talking about like I was kind of explaining like a philosophy of like why I don't like date seriously, and it's partly because there was like 2 reasons. Partly because I've traveled a lot since I was younger and like lived in a bunch of different places, but also because the caliber of woman that I could attract right now compared to the caliber of woman I see myself attracting when I'm 30 or like a higher status, like farther along in life, is a lot different. But also I was telling him something interesting that I've heard. I've always kind of had that thought, like I'm gonna be more successful in the future, right? So I can attract a higher caliber woman. Does that make sense? But then I heard a different philosophy from someone who I respect. I can't remember who it was, but it was like a young entrepreneur who's done really well and been successful. And he has a lot of older mentors that are like really high status people. And some of them were telling him kind of the opposite, which I had never thought of. And they were like, yo, you should find a girl now, so that way you know she's like loyal, know she's there for the right reasons, not because of your higher status, and like grow with her rather than getting a girl when you're already at the top and it's gonna be harder to find whatever. But I also told Alex there's pros and cons to both, but I don't know, I kind of stick with the first philosophy either way, because even if you are higher status, obviously there's going to be like gold digger type women no matter what.
So you're referring to higher status as in financially more more financial status, more financial, like you got.
I mean, that's the easiest way to measure something like that. But yeah, I guess that's kind of what I see. But Yeah, I figured either way, like even if there was more financial status, you're gonna find both either way. So that's just up to you.
Maybe this is a perfect question that we could actually discuss. The whole concept of status. Because this is something I've thought about a lot in my life, and I've written about it, and I've tied it into the concept of relating, and I have a lot that I could say about the topic, but I would love to hear what we all have to say about this topic, because y'all know we're getting ready to push this whole concept of full king status.
Yeah.
Where status is there, but it's there in a way where it's drawing attention to a different part of status. Because I have now gotten to the point where I can totally resonate with the fact that when I had a lot of money, everyone wants to be your friend. And I got tired of it. I really did not like, there's an aspect of everybody wants to be your friend because you got money. I'm like, look at me in the eyes. Ask me questions about me.
Yeah.
Try to get to know me. I'm more than the money, amount of money I have. And I got to a point where I finally said, all right, I don't want to have any money. And I want to see if I can have status without money. And now I know that's 100% possible. And now I have a very different way of completely defining the whole concept of status. Because I know that the more money I had, it made it almost harder to get past that piece and into the concept of real relating, when the whole world, the vast majority of them are all trying to transactionalize the concept of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so transactionalizing relationship in and of itself is why we're even doing this tonight. This is why Surrender That got started. It's why we got started Empowering Empathy. It's why we started COZSNUG, all of it. Because of the fact that we see that most people are trying to transactionalize the concept of relating. And so relationship, to me, is just all about the relationship itself. Shouldn't matter how much money we have. That you can have all various different types of status, because you can make a hierarchy out of any category in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's either got these skills or they don't. Somebody's either got this part of their emotional world figured out or not. You can have that's why I was asking about the whole concept of which part of status you're talking about, or what you're trying to, because I don't know you well enough to know what you meant by just the status.
Yeah.
Kind of go into it, kind of what you said. I think a person's status is in large part derived from their character, and that, not just your financial value increases as a man as you get older with age, but because you gain experience and wisdom, that also makes you a higher value, higher status male individual, because the more you work on yourself, the more you can handle and manage, and that's just going to dip into your finances.
Yeah. So ever since getting really deep into spirituality and that kind of stuff, ever since growing up, I've had a super obsession. Me and my best friend Cash, ever since we were a kid, we've always been that like entrepreneur type. We've never had like the only jobs we've had a couple weeks, literally. Like never had a job. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to make money. I always wanted to be a business. And we've always had this part of our identity of like becoming rich. It's like so deeply ingrained in our self-identity, right? And ever since getting very deep into spirituality, you just realize it's not what makes people happy. It's really not. And that's a part. When you dive into spirituality, you dive a lot into like learning about your ego and what that is, and like you kind of start figuring out how that's attached to that ego, like the money part, and like kind of releasing it. But there's a part of me that still wants to do it, just because like I look at life as a game, right? And it's like I love playing the game. And it's like money's like a cool part of the game, where it's like this like measurable thing that like it's hard to get. Like most people, the 1% versus the 99%. It's like, why do 99% not have this? Okay, like how do I do it? And that's a fun part to me. But so I've like reevaluated my relationship with it. And I feel like I have a healthy relationship. I don't need it. Like I wake up so happy. Like I'm the freaking happiest person, dude. Like people yeah, I can't really explain it to people. Like, people don't really get it. They think it's kind of weird that I just am happy all the time. Like, they're like, you can't be happy all the time. Like, what about all this, and I'm like, I don't know. I just like look at life, like I'm just like happy a lot. But also, so like, how I also look at it back to the status part, money, the underlying part of money is all the characteristics that come along with it, right? So if you see someone that's wealthy, it's like someone with a good body. You know they're consistent, they're disciplined, they stick to what they're gonna say they're gonna do. There's all these underlying parts of money that equate to status. And then the other thing I'll say is like, I forgot who said it, some famous like philosophical person or something, but they were like defining what intelligence means, and I've never forgot this. They're like, the definition of intelligence is your ability, or your measure of intelligence is your ability to manipulate reality, and like create your reality. So I always remember that too. So I think that's a huge part of status. Like, a super high status man can like manipulate his reality and kind of like into what he wants to happen, basically. And so I think that's like a cool part of it too. But I also think the exact opposite. Another high status person can also not have it go his way, not have reality be going his way, and still not let it affect him negatively as well. So it's kind of both sides to it. So I think that's kind of part. My voice is kind of like going, but yeah, that's some of the thoughts I've had about it.
Thank you for sharing that. There's a million different ways that we could take this conversation, because there's nothing right or wrong with the whole concept of any kind of status. We're all just choosing whatever we want and to get home, right? And so, just having navigated a bunch of it myself and seeing what it's like to have that kind of status that you're describing, and the complete opposite, the clarities that I've gained in my mind are just so priceless. Now I'm in a place where I'm choosing to go back into, I want to have money, but I don't ever really care for anybody to know how much money I have, because it clouds things. It makes things different for most people. I'm not saying this is like this for everybody, but just in general, just to be able to navigate life, and just to be able to see every person as your teacher and every moment as instructive. To me, that's like the most success I've ever experienced in my life, is the level of presence I have. How much presence do I have? So now my idea of status is, well, how present am I? How present are you, Ken? Do I accept everything as it is right here in the present moment? If I all day long accept everything as it is all day long, that gives me peace of mind. When I got peace of mind, that's a status that can't be, there's no price tag you can ever put on it, right? Just like, I'll tell this right now, if you guys want to hear about it.
Yeah.
On my birthday, this past October 17th, I woke up in the morning and it was a different day. It was such a cool day. I woke up just smiling, and like I had this giddy feeling, just feeling like, I'm just so in love with life.
Yeah.
The second I woke up, that was my instantaneous feeling. And Brandy's just laying next to me, and she's just sleeping, so I real carefully get out of bed, and I don't even know what I'm doing, but it kind of ties into with what you're talking about being able to manifest our reality. I've never had more awareness than I did now, and then at this point, it was like the most I'd ever realized. I'm manifesting my world before me right now. So without knowing what I was doing, I got up and I let my present moment tell me what I wanted to do. I let my presence tell me, and I knew that it was me telling myself, but I knew that I like surprises. And so I'm like keeping myself just on the edge of, but I was vibrating in a way that was just extremely different. Where I got my clothes on and I walked straight out to my car. I didn't know where I was going. I had no thoughts going. I was just letting my present moment I was allowing myself to be between my thoughts and only allowing my brain to entertain the sweetness of what I was experiencing. And it was kind of like what you're saying, Drew, where I'm by myself, and yet there's not one single ounce of me that feels like I'm lonely. I'm just alive, so alive with life. I get in my car, and I just started coming up this way. I didn't know where I was coming. It's early in the morning, too early to come over here.
Yeah, yeah.
But I take a right out of my street, just start heading, I'm going up the mountain now all of a sudden. And my car and I were one. And I've never felt it so much that my car and I were one. And my car was like, it felt like my car was thanking me for the recognition I was giving it, because I'd never given it so much attention and awareness of knowing that it was me. I felt like I was me projecting myself, and I can talk more about that later. So I'm going up the mountain, I get up to where you can park your car, and you're really not supposed to go on this little dirt road. But I just keep on going, and I keep on going, and I keep on going. I've never driven up this far. I've driven up here several times because it's a nice place to go up and meditate. You can go up by this little water reservoir. And I just kept on driving, and I kept on going, I kept on going. My car is not designed for this road. My car is low to the ground, and it's not supposed to be on an off-road deal. And I'm like, I finally get to a point where it was steep enough and rocky enough that I needed to stop. But my cars and me, I just knew that precisely to the inch is where I was supposed to stop. Supposed to, me just creating the meaning along the way I knew this. But the second I stopped my car, just like getting my clothes on, just like getting in the car, I didn't know what I was doing. I just stepped out of the car. The second I closed the door, I hear caw-caw, caw-caw. And this bird draws me to walk over this way. And I've already had experiences where I was letting nature kind of guide me. And I had done this a handful of times so far. Mm-hmm. This time it was so pristine, so clear, so obvious.
Yeah.
This is a sign that I was giving myself this, come right over here. As soon as I get right to here, this other bird goes right over here. So I to walk around this corner, and I just got guided right to this spot, and I'm just standing in this spot, and I just feel so alive. And I look down, and as I'm looking at the ground, every single rock is just speaking to me. I knew it was all part of me that I was looking at, but every rock so different in the energy that it was putting off, so different. And this rock that I'm standing right above is blowing my mind as I'm looking at it. And I feel compelled to reach down and pick it up. And I pick up this rock, and it has this row that looks like teeth. And it's like, man, this almost looks like a fossilized head of something. It's just so interesting. And I knew it wasn't, and I could kind of tell that it was just like, but it was so evenly placed. These are all perfectly white teeth in this rock. And I was like, this is just such an interesting rock. What are the chances that I would have found? I mean, this is so. And as I'm having this, like, this different kind of thinking process going through my brain, I can feel the whole history of the rock. It was telling me its history. I don't know how to put it in words adequately, but, and I just, tears are filling in my eyes. I'm just like, just valuing this rock so much. I was like, how would I ever put a price tag on you? Ever. I feel compelled that I'm going to take this rock with me. And so I go and before I went anywhere, I saw another piece that looked so similar, laying like this far away. and there's a bunch of other rocks all right here, but this one just had the exact same energy, and I picked it up. Now I've got this rock and this rock, and I can instantly see how the rocks went together. And so I just turned it and oh, what? Yeah, it goes together. It's right here. This was part of the same rock. Oh my, no wonder it had the same energy. And I'm just learning as I go. But the biggest thing was happening in my mind was I was being shown the priceless nature of what I was holding, and that I could never put a price tag on it. And all of a sudden, all these rocks everywhere are just like wanting me to pick them up. And I'm like, I can't pick everybody up. I don't have time. I don't have the bandwidth to pick everything up. I said, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my full dragonfly status here. And I'm going to pick up, I'm going to tell you what, I'll call it a dragonfly select. And I will pick up only the rocks that talk to me the loudest somehow. And I walked. And for the next couple of hours, I walked around and collected a handful, about 40 rocks at the time. And it was maybe I'd pass over 300 rocks before I got to the one. And one rock would be because of the way that I could tell that it was going to feel in my hand. One would be because of the way it looked. One would be because of the way I knew it was going to be a calming rock. It was all different. Every rock completely different. And as I picked them up, they all told me. They all told me their story. And I said, you're not a common rock to me. And I called them all priceless. And I knew it was me. I was looking at myself. And I could go through, and I don't know how to put this in words, but I was being shown the priceless value that every common, most often looked over thing has. Every person that I've ever met in my life became more priceless than ever. Every person I've ever interacted with became a defining teacher to me. My interactions with them more clear than I've ever seen them before as to why. Oh, that person, and my mind was just flooded with one cool experience after another, where I got to see the priceless nature of what all of this is, and I got to see how that rock got tumbled to that point, and I started feeling in my body the specifics of, because I have this belief now that true strength all lies within. Everything lies within. Everything is, when I fold it in, everything's inside of here. And so all of a sudden, these rocks, I could feel where they got tumbled to that point, and I could feel them on the inside of me, right where they were. And I was interacting with each of them. They all taught me different things. I know I'm limiting all of it with these words, but in a nutshell, it was the coolest day of my entire life up to that point. And now I've had several experiences since that have just built upon that, and I've gained additional clarities because I now see every single human that I come in contact with eyes wide open. Everyone's my teacher, everyone's instructor. I see every insect that flies by my head in a very different way. So valuable. It's not to be just looked over. I'm asking myself why constantly. Why? What meaning do I want to place on this? What meaning do I want to place on this? I know choice matters. I know choice matters. Life's not happening to me anymore. Life is happening for me. And I know that I'm manifesting this right now, just like you're manifesting this right now, just like you're manifesting this right now, just like you're manifesting this right now. Anybody watching is manifesting this right now. And why? Well, we get to make whatever meaning we want out of it all. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. And then come back, to our status. It is all a meaning place on it, Talk about meaning rocks, practice status. Status, if you want to try to take up a status that, you want to have in the world, like, you want to be a leader, you want to be, rich, or whatever. When you want to take up the status, you have things that come with it to be able to have anyone else see you as that, or see you as that, I guess. Because you can say you're anything, depends on if someone else thinks you're making that as well.
Oh yeah. Your story reminded me of this part. I gotta show you in this. It's the beginning of this song. It's the first song we played when we were in the car today.
Yeah.
But kind of what you were saying. It's like everything is so unique, right? Everything is its own, right? But it's also part of the one, the collective. It's like both, right? And if anyone's watching and you can't hear it, play the song "Good Life" by Zoo and just listen to the beginning. I'm gonna just play it for you guys. He has this nice intro opening. Don't read them yet. Just wait till he comes in.
So good.
Yeah, just that beginning part.
Yeah.
Life is all about you, but not about you. Or whatever he said.
Yeah,
And then in the end, he circles it all back right there at the end, talking about how you are the actual journey itself.
Yeah.
I am the journey I'm doing.
Oh, that's fire. That's fire proof.
Yeah, you gotta add that. Every one of those words was pure wisdom. Like,
Yeah, hell
that
yeah.
makes me want to go and explore more of that artist.
Yeah, they're the ones who faded.
ZHU.
Yeah, they do faded.
Oh, they do faded.
Yeah.
That is.
I didn't know they
now,
were- they were
now
like
I like that artist
spiritual.
even more. Now I need to go read all their lyrics.
For sure. And Cocaine Model's like my favorite song right now. That's another one. Cocaine Model's really good.
It's a good song. It's by them.
Yeah. But anyways. Yeah, I didn't know they were like spiritual and all that too, so that was kind of cool.
That was some
Yeah, that was
wisdom slinging right there.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, brother. But I wanted to hear like I don't know if you were tying that story into the status things, kind of, but I wanted to hear your definitions now that you're more wise and all that of status and what you think.
Ask me something specific about it. There's
Oh,
a lot of different things I can think of.
So defining status, your
Oh,
definition,
okay.
or what
My
are
highest level of status now that I have in my mind, is that what you're talking about?
sure?
Okay, so my highest, I for years I had people tell me, we had conversations about success. When we talk about success, it sounds like it's the same way you're talking about status.
Okay, yeah. I can see.
Success.
Yeah.
The way that the world interprets success is, well, did you arrive at a place where you had the money and had the, whatever.
Buy what you want on your list of things you want to, check off the boxes, yeah.
Right. And when you've been there long enough, when you have all the money that you ever can buy whatever you want, and you're buying anything you ever want for yourself. I remember there's this one time, so before I answer your question, I'll tell you this quick little experience. It was coming up on Christmas time, or my birthday, or something. It was a time when my kids were kind of young, and they were asking me what I wanted. And I couldn't think of one single thing. Nothing. I was driving down the road, and all day long I was just like, I can't think of anything, because anything I wanted, I just already bought it. I just went and bought it. I got myself whatever I wanted, and I couldn't think of anything, and it was really bothering me. And it made me feel like this angsty feeling inside. And that was like a starting, one of the experiences that I had where I really, because at the time I had quite a bit of money compared to my idea when I was young too was I'm going to be financially free by the time I'm 40.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of money. I mean, I was just over 30 years old before, just over 30 when I had my first million.
Nice.
And it was just all instructive. It was all, what I learned about having money is, and I've done it, I've been up and down, up and down, up and down, and all around this place. The last few years I've spent working mostly with artists who most of them didn't have any money. And yet I see now that everybody is just a living, breathing work of art. And so I wanted to know what it was like to be like my people that I was doing video for. I was doing a video to try to help artists get clear and then gain influence. Because I'd already learned how to do those things. And I'd had a background where that was what my professional world was. I called myself a consumer psychology consultant. And I got so turned off by the whole concept of my own consumption and the fact that every single company I went into, they didn't have a why. So I was like, oh, so essentially you're just here to make money.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. It loses its interest after a while. You like get a whole bunch of money. When I did mortgages in Florida for my job, I would have like a doctor come in and he'd making $800,000 a year, but I'm on paper, I'm looking at his financials and everything, and he spent $900, and he was poor.
Yeah.
And he was stressed, and he hated his life. And I had these two teachers come in one time, and they made like these modest little incomes, and they had like $5 million in the bank. They wanted to buy a house, and I was like, oh, where'd you guys inherit this from? Me just being naive and not knowing and judging. Like, why would you say that to us? We worked really hard to earn that money. And we learned how to become smart, and we learned how to invest, and we've taken time, and we were really diligent. So you look at them, and they didn't, they could have had whatever kind of bodies, but they had been the epitome of that thing you were talking about, where they've shown the diligence and the perseverance. And so I was like, man, it's like, looking at people's financial situations over and over and over again, constantly, when I was doing mortgages, that helped me understand that money does not equate out to personal fulfillment, happiness, peace of mind. It was just not the case. As a matter of fact, most of the people that I knew that had the most money were the most miserable. They're like down in Naples, they're trying to one up each other by like having a new yacht christening party, and everybody, it's just pretension, just everywhere because of money and status. So I became very disenfranchised. I didn't like the whole concept of the way the world was seeing success. So at the time I came up with this little quote that the measurement of your success is going to be in direct proportion to what others have gained from it. And so I kept on coming up with different little quotes like that and trying to tell myself that success is more about like what you give. And now this is many, many years ago. Well, coming full circle on this conversation back to now, I have been practicing this concept for about the past 6 or 7 years, where I have had this belief that the most success I can ever feel in my entire life will be to the level of my presence, my level of aliveness in the present moment. And I finally got to the point where I realized every one of us deserves to enjoy life. But that wasn't for several more years. So maybe 3 years ago or something, I finally said to myself, I believe everybody deserves to enjoy life, every present moment. We deserve to. And I started finally granting that to myself, practicing it over and over and over again, realizing, oh, this is status. I mean, I have the life circumstances that I have, and with every single thing combined, I have peace of mind. Even though I don't have full collective trust yet, a few years ago I said, wow, I don't have collective trust. And so I intentioned that. We went to this retreat thing, and I wrote down on a picture of myself on the bottom of it, here's my intention for this particular retreat. I'm gonna lean into putting all my energy into the concept of collective trust, because I don't have any, and I'm just being perfectly honest with myself. And yet I call myself having peace. How can I have peace of mind when the other parts of me out here that I'm calling the collective, they're also a part of me. I'm a me and a we all at the same time. As soon as I realize that they're all part of me. So how can I possibly have status unless I am doing something for them? And doing something to help all of this. And that's where empowering empathy came from. That's where surrender dive came from. That's where COZSNUG came from. That's where all this came from, is I looked around and said, you can't see me with eyes of dignity yet because you don't even know what the word means. Well, I'm hell-bent on proving to myself and the rest of the world around me that I can thrive. And I don't have any possible way of likening thriving to individuality anymore. My independence, it's a really important step along the way, but it's a limiting thing, just like codependence was. Just like independence was, and just like all maturing things, all living things, they go through dependence, through codependence, through the gaining independence. But what's next? What's after that? Why don't I have happiness? The most suffering I ever did in my whole entire life was when I was the most independent, the most self-sufficient, and I'm just suffering. I felt like a caged animal. And I finally found out what it was like to let this pipeline of energy open up on the inside of me by just surrendering to everything as it is. Life became so much easier. Surrender. Not a sign of weakness. It's the strongest I ever got. Surrender to everything as it is. Still now. Still now. Do I surrender to everything as it is? That means your experience. That means your experience. That means your experience. No matter what you've chosen in your life to get you to this point, every one of us on the planet, everywhere, even my friends and family who were looking at me like I was just a scary thing because I didn't believe like them anymore when I left my religion. That was so tough to deal with. Now I see all the wisdom and all the clarity that I've gained from allowing myself to go through that, just like I allowed myself to go through all the suffering I did. So it all has become sacred, valuable, precious. How else can I possibly walk around with eyes of equanimity, eyes of inclusivity, being receptive instead of resistant to the unique experience of others, seeing you as my teacher and every moment is instructive? It's easier. Life just becomes so much easier when we let go of the idea that I have to be this self-actuated thing despite everybody else. No, that's not how it really works in my world. I've learned now it's with everybody else that you finally learn how to do that. And so, what part of me isn't relatable yet? Oh, crap. That was a powerful question. All right, what else is not relatable? Oh, wow. And so all of a sudden now I gain clarity after clarity after clarity by seeing the value that everybody's unique experience gives to me, because why would I be in my head judging you as a right or wrong or this or that or appropriate or inappropriate? Now, if you started like hurting one of my people, you started hurting somebody, we all have the ability to choose right then to step in and intervene, and there's a lot of cool, creative ways to do that. And I've learned that words are a lot more powerful than I ever gave them credit for before. And words are art. It's articulation, art. But that art changes everything everywhere. So when you say the words, they matter. So I'm more careful with my words now. I'm not perfect about this at all. I still like constantly fuck up in life according to my own level of what I want. But that's constant new awareness, new clarity. And it's usually through someone else around me that I'm hearing, hey Ken, don't you realize that's not very. And so I'm bringing that to myself because I want to actually have more peace of mind. And I have peace of mind in direct proportion to the level that I believe that everybody around me deserves to have an enjoyment right now. And I've just learned that when we do it together, life gets way better. My experience now, in enjoyment in life goes in direct proportion to my level of willingness to collaborate and be a relatable thing. Vibrate receptive, Ken. Vibrate receptive instead of resistant. Vibrate receptive. Why would I ever get defensive? Why do I do that? Why would I ever not be my real self? Why would I ever not? Why would I ever allow some external thing to so-called control? Nothing's controlling you. Nothing is controlling you. True strength lies within. Fold it in, Ken. Remember where all the true strength lies. And every time I do that, I go all the way back down to the very, very center. Everything's there. And inside that ball of everything, right here, I'm light and love. I'm a big old huge ball of light and love. And so is everybody else, whether we're aware of it or not. And when we vibrate receptive long enough, we gain clarities that you don't have any words for, because all the words would just completely limit it. But you definitely see everything with more gratitude. You perceive everything beautifully. Everyone's experiences is precious and priceless. And I worship all the people around me now. You guys have all become my supreme beings. Just like I'm yours. That's equality. That's inclusivity. Everybody has full king status. Everybody has it in my world. So I've never felt more successful. I've never felt like I have more status than right now in this exact pristine present moment. Blah, blah, blah. That's why I take no status. Did that answer your question, Drew?
So if you had to sum it into like a few words, you would say like your ability to stay present.
Presence.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny.
Presence. Presence.
I agree. That's huge.
I can't find anything more attractive. That's the most attractive thing I've found so far.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Ashton? Like defining status or like anything like that?
Defining status. Status is hard to define because it's like, we talked about in this discussion, it's like status can mean so many things. And can be relevant to so many different things. So I don't know, when I think of what I think status means. My status, or any status, or thinking status. The sense of status is just analyzing its placement in the order of things. What's the status? What are the stats? What is the status of this thing? It's right here in this hierarchy. Or hierarchy is also limiting because it's defining into this thing. So it's like all connected. So it's like hierarchy kind of is a little dualistic in that sense.
No, I
You
understand.
need to separate it from the rest of its parts.
So limiting by its nature,
Yeah.
just because of the fact that
It's not
you're hierarchy.
necessarily
not
wrong,
things.
but just to be able to classify our hierarchy.
Right.
You have to limit it.
Well, it makes it fun to be on this playground.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
'Cause
with
now
it.
I can
It's
go-
important to do that to make structures and art and.
Well, now I get to go and become better at racquetball, so I can enter that racquetball
Right,
competition
right.
and have the motivation of like wanting to know what it's like to win that racquetball tournament. And I mean, life just becomes really fun when we value it all. But we're out of our, I'm just a me, I'm just a me, I'm just a me. When you see that you're a me and a we all at the same time, that racquetball game becomes extremely different.
I think of it, it's like the pyramids, yeah? None of those other blocks in the pyramid are top block. But all of those blocks are the block that they are, and every one of them holds the pyramid together. And somewhere out there, cataloged, is each additional block in its place.
Yeah, that's fun.
Bravo.
Yeah, that's good.
All playing a really important part.
Yeah, it's good.
Isn't that how it is for all of us?
Amen.
It's a great way to look at it.
And even if you're at the top of that, if you're playing at the top of that, because I've actually had so much megalomania inside of me. I'm like, I'm the top block. I know that I'm the top block right now. I can see it so clearly. I'm the top block. And at the same time, I'm like, I get this feeling that I have to bow down to something. And I start bowing down to everything and realizing there's something bigger than this pyramid right here. And it's a constant new awareness, no matter how far and arrived you become, there's something bigger. There's something out here. There's something that's allowing me to play in this game of everything constantly emerging. And that's what I've learned in my life now, is that everything is constantly emerging. Emergence, emergence, emergence. And when I'm more aware of it, I'm aware of the fact that I'm the one who's actually doing things and saying words that trickle out and come back and hit the unaware parts of me and the collective parts of me that don't have awareness of it yet, right in the butt, right on the backside, with not even knowing that they deserved it, but they deserve it. And it's emergence, emergence. And so now we just keep on emerging and keep on growing. And every single person who learns how to become a creator, all you learn how to do is turn 1 into 2. And 3. What can I do with 3? What can I do with 3 and 3 together? Okay. And so you're just creating. And so instead of acting like life's happening to us and being stuck, getting stopped up because of our fears or whatever, we realized that there was nothing wrong with that all the way to begin with. There's nothing wrong with the fact that somebody's just sitting there trembling in fear right now. We don't need to rush to their aid and help them get out of their fear, because that's not what they want right now. They want to know what it's like to be stuck in that fear. It's hard for us to accept that reality, that we're choosing to be stuck in fear. But in our reality, choice matters. And right now you could choose to say, you know what, I want to know what it's like to just face that fear with my shoulders back this time. And I'm not just going to be in my cocoon. There's nothing wrong with it. Cocoon time is really valuable time where we find out how beautiful we really are. And then I finally get brave enough to say, I'm not going to look at the fear anymore. I'm just going to fuck fear. I'm going to sit there and just look straight at my pain right in front of me and just say, it's time to bring it on, buddy. And I'm going to be brave enough to just bring you to me. Now I've got the edges and I'm willing to just play around in all of it. And now I'm gaining real wisdom, because now I'm facing it is what it is. It's authentic. It's reality. Why would I suppress that anymore? Now the light just illuminates the darkness. I just allowed the light to effortlessly illuminate the darkness. Wow, it's so much easier to face that particular fear I used to have. And pretty soon you find out, what do I have to fear? There's nothing you have to fear. Why would I fear anything? Fear is not helping me or anyone else. And I'm hurting everybody by having fear. I'm more aware of my impact than I've ever been. And every single fear that I ever had before, I can now see the definitive ways in which it was helping to keep everything fixed. But there was nothing wrong with that to begin with. Because what we do is we leverage every fixed point. Look at all the fixed points out there. Look at all my Mormon friends and family. I love right where they are now. Right when I left that church, I had a really hard time with the fact that they all thought that I was the devil. I'm like, well, fuck you guys then. You're my family, but I don't need to even see you as this is bullshit. Because you can't see that I'm not, I did this because of honesty. They weren't willing to ask me any questions. They were just judging me. And now I'm in a very different place where I can look at every one of them and say, I honor you right where you are. I honor their choices. I honor their choices to believe exactly what they believe. Just like we honor every single baby that comes in, just like we honor every single 3-year-old. Don't tell them they're wrong because they don't know how to drive a car yet. Don't tell them they're stupid.
It's a good analogy.
Everything's beautiful. If we're here right now, it's because we're one of the bravest things that ever existed. That's my take on it. If you're here, if you're part of the 8.1 whatever billion people that are on this planet, this is a very small number, by the way. Extremely small number in the big picture of things. You can go to that length really quick and realize that you can be anything you want to be here play any role you want on the stage of life. It could be a comedy, it can be a tragedy. We're making this up as we go. But if you're here, I now know that you're one of the bravest things that's ever existed. And you're so far advanced and so far emerged from where we came from. We don't have Genghis Khan running around anymore. We don't have ships getting fired at every port coming in. It's not, we have more collective peace than we've ever had on this planet. We have more advancement. We have more people enjoying life than we've ever had before. And yet we still live in a world where people think it's the dog-eat-dog world and it's inevitable that war is going to come and it has to end in a bloody way. Well, I now know that that's all just a bunch of bullshit. That's not my world. It doesn't have to be that way. It's okay that people believe that still, because the light will illuminate that and show, but that's just not part of my world at all. The violence doesn't have to be there. Why violence? That's just a dualistic way of looking at everything. I'm just polarized. I'm just an individual at that point. And I'm limiting myself. And I'm just more aware now of the fact that everybody's being impacted by that. Why the hell would I do it? Why would I do that? It's not a loving act for me to sit there and be violent anymore. In my head and compartmentalize and say, well, these people are obviously wrong. Well, we're all wrong. We're all stupid. We're all ignorant. My ego is a highly ignorant thing. It's very stupid. Bullheaded. It's stubborn. It's full of actual shit. It's the biggest megalomaniac. It's got all the spectrums in there. It's a psychopath. It's a sociopath. It's a narcissist. It's all the most heinous things I can possibly imagine. It's all in me. But what am I? Well, I'm that, and I'm also this, and so I guess we're going to partner up. And so I've learned how to take my ego, put it over here in the co-pilot seat, and buckle it in and say, we're going to do this together, buddy. And now I've learned how to tame my inner critic. I don't talk shit to myself anymore. It's been a long time since I've talked shit to myself, like in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that for several years. It's very possible. And it's a lot easier to live life that way. It's very liberating to let go of the idea that I'm just broken, and I'm just deplorable, and I'm just a stain on society. Well, everybody is. We all are. Accept it. Be accountable. Now what? Now what do I want my life to be? I could go kill myself if I want to. I got full power. I got full choice. I'm one decision away from everything. I'm one decision away from going to jail for the rest of my life. I'm one decision away from ruining my most precious relationships. I'm one decision away from everything. Well, what do I want my next decision to be? And I just think that the more I lean into becoming relatable, increasingly relatable, keep telling myself that. Hey, what parts of me aren't relatable yet? And I've done this enough now where every single person, you can't find one person on this planet that I can't look at and say, my equal, you're my equal. I grant you full king status right now. I grant you full king status. I grant everyone full king status the second I see them now. I don't always do it the second I see them because I'm not all the way there all the time. And sometimes I'm in my head and sometimes I'm playing around with my ego. I'm still working that out, but I believe it now, and I do it enough to where it's like the vast majority of my day. Most of the time, all day now, and life's just, wait, I love my life now. I love being alive. I no longer have desires to go kill myself. I no longer feel lonely. I've cured loneliness. We've cured loneliness together. On the planet, we've cured loneliness. We now know that loneliness is cured. I know it's my whole world. Loneliness is cured. I know what the rest of
How does someone feeling lonely cure that for themselves?
Start to see everyone as your teacher. Every moment is instructive. Everyone's my teacher. Every moment's instructive. What would it be like to right now be receptive instead of resistant? I won't say any more about that. That's the crux of it in my world. Become receptive instead of resistant. Vibrate receptive and watch what happens and how beautiful your day becomes. So everything you're seeing, it's kind of like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
And you really gotta start to see everyone just got granted to me. I granted that to myself. And you start talking more what sounds narcissistic at first, But when you really fold it all in and say, I gotta be accountable for all this, my whole world is what I'm manifesting, that's what eventually happens in my experience.
I was reading a scripture today that's supposed to be written by Enoch, but written by who knows. But it's just like
Do you know the verse?
it's not from, it's a non-canonical text.
Oh, it's not
apocryphal. It's apocryphal.
Oh, yeah,
The
sure,
book
sure,
of
sure,
Enoch
sure,
is
yeah.
apocryphal.
Gotcha.
It was super short, very simple format. It's like God speaks to man, and it's like, I speak to you when you are alone. Be still and know that I am God. I spoke to you when you were born. Be still and know that I am God. And it goes on in that same type of pattern for, I don't know, 20 of them or so. And the one that stood out to me was the one I said, I speak to you when you are alone. Be still and know that I am God. So it's that same idea, you know, of I'm with you always. We're never really alone because we're always with God.
Yes, very well said.
So,
I love that.
some people, you know, alleviate loneliness in that way.
But instead of seeing that God is something
Yeah,
external, it's an awareness becomes, in my experience, that I am not separate from that at all. So much so that in the beginning you're like, wait a minute, can I accept that I'm God? Can I accept that? No, that sounds like way too much megalomania. But the second you are doing it and you're granting everybody else full king status at the same time, and you're seeing everybody as your equal, it just shows us what's really happening more. It's like an awareness of the fact that what you're looking at is always God. Those cats, be around those cats. Just hang out with the cats by yourself for a while and realize that they're God. And they're some of the best teachers ever. Watch them with more detail. Watch their behaviors. Watch how they do their things, and learn that they're God. So clear.
Neville Goddard is the one that changed everything for me. I know I told you guys about him last time, but I asked him and he said he hasn't read it yet. Have you guys actually read him? Or you just heard
I'm
him?
familiar with his work.
You've read a ton of his stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, some. Like, what, like Feeling is the Secret?
I don't remember which one.
That's his most famous, Feeling is the Secret. His first one was the craziest to me. It's called At Your Command. I don't know if you've read that, but it's like 40 pages.
Oh.
But it's just freaking... He was the one, in my opinion, that best explains that. I know there's so many people that don't understand that. I am God. What does that mean? I'm not God. God, the creator of the universe. I'm human. Dude, the way he freaking explains, he breaks down every Bible passage. He's like, no, this is what Jesus meant. This is what Jesus was teaching you. And I was like, oh shit.
It sounds like he has a more, he's talking about true strength rather than false empowerment. Because the
Dude,
people
he
who look at
breaks
the
it
scripture,
down.
who read a scripture and think that Jesus is some external savior that's going to come along and save them someday, that they're going to have to be judged up against at some point in the future or whatever, they're just not honest yet.
Yeah.
Honesty brings you all the way to the present moment where you accept everything as it is, and now all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm Jesus too?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm my own savior.
Yeah.
I'm my own healer. What? And so that flies right in the face of how most people articulate Christianity to themselves. But when you have an ideal of how you want to be at some point, well, then the Christ figure becomes something that's pretty attractive.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, well, I want to be more like this and always have this kind of a feeling. I've never felt more like Jesus in my entire life. That sounds so egotistical. It sounds so self-centered. But you already heard me say all the rest of the stuff, and you know what I mean by it now.
Dude,
Well, I think-
and the way...
I think a lot of people have said things like, I've never felt more like Jesus in my life, because the whole idea is that he experienced the whole spectrum of human feeling, you know? So a lot of people are at their lowest point in their lives, feeling like they're on a cross, and they say, I've never felt like more like him in my life.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Dude, and Jesus taught, like, that kind of idea. Jesus taught, he's like... He basically says that he has to... I wish I remembered the exact words, but he's like, I have to put myself as an equal with God. I have to be God, so I act like that. If you don't think you're if you don't think you're like God or like Jesus, you're not going to act like that.
Exactly.
And you have to become one with that identity where you're
Thank you. Yes.
I am that. And
Thank
I can
you. Yes,
do all
yes,
these good
yes.
things and all that. And I wish the exact words are nice.
Let's make a video. I'm gonna read this 40-page one that you're talking about, and let's make a video about this concept, because I think the world needs to hear this more often.
Heck yeah. Dude.
We're all in a place where I can tell, because I can see how people look in my eyes. And if people look in my eyes and they don't see God, they don't know God yet. That's what I see. Not in an egotistical way, just in a, hey, are we all equals or not? You see me as your equal or not? I've already accepted my full king status. Hey man, when are you going to accept your full king status, essay?
That's it.
I'm trying to find that thing.
Oh, the thing you read earlier?
The Book of Enoch one?
Yeah, it wasn't the Book of Enoch, though. It was like something that this guy attributed from some Gospels.
Dude, Neville, bro, you're gonna love Neville so much.
Oh, it sounds
Bro,
good.
Neville is
Sounds
a
good, yeah.
genius,
I've got
dude.
your command pulled up too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The book?
PDF.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I do too. This is actually, I get all my books free PDF. This is the one I bought Neville collection. So
Oh,
it just
wow.
had all 10, we had like 10 main ones.
Will you send me the link to that, Alex?
Yeah.
The link to that exact PDF?
I love the beginning. I'm gonna read you the first, the
Okay.
preface.
Read it, yeah.
Cause it's all about at your command, right? Like creating it, whatever, creating reality. He says, this book contains the very essence of the principle of expression. Had I cared to, I could have expanded it into a book of several hundred pages, but such expansion would have defeated the purpose of this book. Commands, to be effective, must be short and to the point. The greatest command ever recorded is found in the few simple words, and God said, let there be light. In keeping with this principle, I now give to you, the reader, in these few pages, the truth as it was never revealed to me. Or as it was revealed to me. I just love that first part. The greatest command ever given, let there be light.
This is so powerful. I have a bunch of experiences that I can go on. I can talk forever about this.
Dude,
I want to hear more about what he says.
One line I like just in this beginning part that always has stuck with me. So everything he just explains consciousness, and everything is just created through consciousness. But he says, oh, it's right here. He says, you do not command things to appear by your words or loud affirmations. Such vain repetition is more often than not confirmation of the opposite. Decreeing is ever done in consciousness. So that kind of changed my beliefs. I've always been I'm still big on affirmations and words, and like your words are so important. But that was a big thing. A lot of people, a lot of the time, are like, I love myself. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I'm a healthy person. And they know they're like lying to themselves. And even though I think part of those can help, right? It can help, like that programming, even though it takes a longer time. He's like, oh, often those affirmations are just confirmation of the opposite. And it has to be done in consciousness. You have to like ascend to those levels.
Like if you want to program any kind of new belief pattern into your life, like you can't say, I don't know, say you're like drinking. You can't say, I want to stop drinking. Or you can't say, I'm going to stop drinking, if you don't believe it. You need to say something more like, I'm open to the idea of drinking less. And then your body might believe it. And it's like, you can start easy with that. And tricking your body into being like, oh, yeah, we could maybe accept that one.
I have a good example for that. I've taught a lot of people that. So, yeah, a way to finesse the like lying to yourself. So one of the most famous ones is day by day I'm improving in every way, or something like that. I'm trying to think of the example. Or instead of saying like I am confident, you can say my confidence is improving every day, and that's like a powerful belief, right? Because even if your confidence improved by 0.01% from the day before, it's still the truth. right? Whereas if you're saying, I'm confident, you're like, fuck, I'm not confident. I'm not confident. You're lying, right? So my health is improving every day. Instead of, I'm healthy. Because like, even if it's 1%, it's not a lie. So that'll like go, it'll be accepted by the subconscious quicker.
I liken this to, I told myself at one point when I started realizing it, that my level of consciousness and awareness goes up in direct proportion to how my language changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this whole narrative about how I had, I used to be extremely enamored with the whole concept of false empowerment.
Yeah.
And I had an external everything, external. I needed to make all that money. I needed it. And folding ourselves in, I found the most success in like talking to ourselves is not by trying to tell ourselves something that we're not yet. It's by just asking a question. Just I ask myself the question. And then that's real self-introspect, that's self-discovery. Is like ask myself a question and then just be honest, just sit there and just tangle with the answer.
Mm.
Ask myself, hey, so why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Is this serving me? In what way is this serving me?
That's huge.
I recently stopped doing all substances in my life. Now, food's a substance. The teas that I drink are substance. Anything's a substance, but I mean like.
You mean like state altering?
I mean like, I played around with so many drugs, and I've had so much experience with so many drugs. And I'm not saying drugs are bad, because they're an extremely valuable part of my life. So lubricating in so many ways, so much help. And when I was suffering the most, it helped me realize that I can still enjoy my present moment, even though everything seems like it's just, my whole world's falling apart. So it kept me alive. But I've recently started to play around with the idea that what if every part of my enjoyment just comes from my willingness to explore my internal universe? This is the biggest playground I ever found inside
Wait, say
here.
that again?
The biggest playground I ever found inside of here, because I have found that it's exploring my internal universe that gives me the most enjoyment.
Mm.
When I'm doing that with others, this is even more enjoyable than when I'm just sitting here self-reflecting. So my enjoyment factor is higher tonight because we're having this conversation together. We're doing this together. We manifested this together. This is a creation moment. And it's we were brave enough to say, hey, let's go ahead and be live about this, just like we've been doing for months, because we realized that we're just giving the slightest little nudge to humanity, saying maybe nobody watches this right now. I don't really care if anybody's watching it. I'm not in my head about that at all. I don't care. I haven't gone back. We just talked about it earlier. I haven't gone back and watched a bunch of our live stuff to see how. And I came out of the world of like cinematography and videography, and I cared all about that kind of stuff so much. Well, the question, the most enjoyable question that I know to ask myself so far is not by myself, because I used to say, now what do I want my story to look like? I'm present, here I am, I surrendered everything as it is. Now what do I want my story to look like? That inside of me now, that question has gone more to, hey, here we are, guys. Now that we're all valuing presence the most, thank you. We're all a bunch of badasses here. Now what do we want our story to look like? When we start collaborating, we could do a little experiment and in the next 5 minutes come up with something that the world's never seen before. I guarantee it, because nobody's seen you fully yet, no one's seen me fully yet, no one's seen you fully yet, no one's seen you fully yet. Imagine 4 badasses like us saying, hey, now what do we want our story to look like? We could come up with a new business idea, a new nonprofit idea, a new merch idea, something that goes out and trickles into humanity and changes everything everywhere, just like when we wrote the Universal Declaration of Inclusivity to the world. Those words matter. I know that they matter because I've already been the recipient of seeing how much they've helped me gain collective trust now. I didn't have any just a few years ago. Now I have a whole bunch. And so I now get to see that